I never know quite what to do with our weather. Some days it's pouring rain and then the next day it's warm. It's like this until July. How many of you guys are having lovely spring weather? I guess it's summer, right? So, how many of you guys did the March layouts in your project sheet? I'm just curious to know if you had a chance to do them and if you did them just with the project sheet or if you, it's freezing in Philadelphia. 86 in California. Hi, Brenda. It's good to see you. Welcome, welcome. I'm glad you guys are here. I'm looking forward to doing these every month. So, and in June, we'll do 2 of them because we'll do both May and June since we are our May kits. It's hot in South Carolina. Well, I'm glad you found us, Brenda. Hopefully you're enjoying your kit so far. Yeah, so we just, for those of you that are new, we made some changes recently to our kits, and it makes it easier for everybody to be able to do what our design team does because you have all of the embellishments that you need to do anything that they do with the exception of perhaps dies that they might use. But usually you can find something that you have in your stash that will, that you can substitute for any dies that they use with, shapes or die cuts or stencils or what have you. So if my face would dry off, goodness, it's this age, I tell ya, misery, misery, misery. No, nobody tells you. Okay, so since last month, oh, I'm so sorry for your loss, Kim. I know how hard it is to lose a parent. During 2020, we lost both Bob's parents and my mom within 9 months of one another, and it was terrible. So I know how difficult it is, and it's hard to get back into it after that. But I will say every time I did sit down and create something, I found it very therapeutic. So it's kind of nice to kind of just get into that Zen moment and give yourself some self-love by being able to slow down and do something that you enjoy rather than doing all of the things that, yeah. So hang on one second. Hey, you. Did you meet our little guy? This is Melvin. Say hi. Say hi. He is the sweetest little thing. Yeah, so there's a story with this one. And Bob, I'll tell you what, he's a saint because, want to be up here for a second? So my daughter, our oldest daughter, was living with us for a period of time while she was kind of deciding what she was going to do next in terms of whether she was going to stay in Seattle or move elsewhere. And so anyway, she and her cat were living here, and we have 4 cats. And he was playmates with all of our cats. And then when she moved into her own apartment, he was very lonely. So she went off and to get a little kitten friend for him. And she called me and she asked me if I wanted to go. And I said, sure, I'll go. And Bob looks at me and he's like, don't you dare come home with a cat. And I'm like, oh, don't be ridiculous. So we go and we spend Saturday going from shelter to shelter, and we didn't really find the right cat. And so we went to another shelter that you had to have an appointment to go to. And so we went there on Sunday morning, and there he was, just sitting there. And I said to Megan, I'm like, oh, look at this little guy. And she's like, I want this one over here. And I'm like, all right, well, I'm taking this one. And we came home and we walked in the door, and Bob's like, why are there 2 boxes? And I'm like, I couldn't help myself. And he's just rolls his eyes and he's like, my God. He's like, I said, no more cats. So anyway, now we have 5. And he's just the sweetest little guy. And he was actually playmates with Megan's kitten. But now her kitten went home and ours are ornery. So if anybody has any suggestions on how to get older cats and younger cats to interact. Nobody hates one another. They're all living happily together. It's just that nobody wants to play with him. So it's kind of sad. So he follows us around. Anyway, all right. So without further ado, let me, huh? I did. I showed him. Do I want a fan? No, I'm good. I know. Is it that bad? Okay. So let's flip the camera really quick and then we'll get started, because last time it took a good 2 hours to get all 3 of the pages done. And these are a little bit more complex than what we did last time. And I apologize for all of the fussy cutting. I won't do that to you again. We'll make it more straightforward, because this project did have quite a bit of fussy cutting. And initially, when I designed the pages, I designed them digitally, and so it didn't take into account the amount of time that it took to fussy cut. So one of the things that I will tell you as far as fussy cutting is concerned, it's a lot easier to sit and fussy cut while you're doing something else. So like if you're watching TV or listening to a podcast or whatever, and you have like a piece of paper like this, and you just go through and you fussy cut all of the flowers, and then you have a bunch of them to work with. It's a lot easier to do that than just to do a few while you're sitting there at your desk working on a project. Because if you've got them all fussy cut ahead of time, then you can pick them up and figure out what works together. You did yours yesterday. Yeah, it was a lot. And so my apologies, and going forward, I will make everything a lot more straightforward. A little bit of fussy cutting, not nearly as much. But I did love those flowers, so that's why. And there were so many cool things to fussy cut, so that was also it. Now, when we work on our pages today, we'll skip all of the stitching. The stitching stuff you can add later, or next time if you want to stitch some of your, let you slide this time. Thank you. Anyway, if you want to add stitching, you can do it later, or if you want to add stitching to some of your pieces ahead of time next month, you can do that. So the other thing that I will tell you, hey, Bob, Bob. Okay. When you hear this, will you tell me if the project sheets are on our website and can be downloaded? Can the projects be downloaded from the project sheets? Are they available on our website for download? The April one. Okay. So you can download the April project sheet from our website if you find that some of the images on are too small and you have difficulty seeing all the little detail, because there is a lot. You can download them, and then that way you can zoom in on your iPad or laptop or desktop, whatever, while you do your pages, so you can see the detail a little bit better. Okay, so without further ado, let me flip this around, and bear with me for 1 second. I'm gonna try and make this as painless as possible. So, okay, let's do this, and this. Not too much. Well, you know what, you guys? This wasn't so bad. All right. Let's see what we've got here in terms of, I think we're pretty good. I have a bunch of equipment to make this a little bit more seamless, but the problem is that it my laptop went belly up, so, which is annoying. I want to make sure that I'm in frame. So, all right, I should be good. So, all right, I think I'm in frame. Hopefully, let me see if that, okay, so that should be good. All right, so here is our project sheet. I want to make sure. Okay, let's see. All right. I'm glad that you're enjoying the classes too, Kim. So let me make sure that I've said hello to everybody. Karen, hello. Cynthia, hello. Brenda, hi, hi. I'm so glad that you guys found time. Cheryl, happy you're here. Okay, so just quickly, just a quick overview. We'll back up for a quick second from last month. Here's our March project sheet, and it features all of our, oh, is it? Okay. Thank you. It features all of our projects created, or 3 projects created with our March hip kits, including our pattern paper and the embellishment kit. And this is the class that we did last month. If you have the March kit and wasn't able to join us and you haven't seen the replay yet and you haven't made your pages, I'll put a link in the subscription or the description box below to this video so that you can watch that and get these layouts completed. And these are the pages that we made. Here's the first one. And Here's the second one. My photo printer is on the fritz along with my laptop. Well, it's kind of a same thing. So since my laptop doesn't work, I can't print my photos. So I'm going to use white cardstock for placeholders this month. So these are the 3 pages that we created with our March kits, and there's still tons left over. And perhaps I'll go back and do some other types of projects with that kit. If anybody's interested in cards, let me know and we can make some cards with it as well. Now this is the April kit, and this is our project sheet for this month, and it includes 3 layouts, 1, 2, and 3, created with the products you receive in your main kit that includes pattern paper. It has, each one of your project sheets lists all of the products that you need to gather together for your layout, and then it shows you all of the steps to complete your page. So gathering your products, layering your bigger items onto your background, and then adding some of the larger embellishments, and then completing it with all of the smaller embellishments. And so each one of the projects are formatted in just the same way. So it gives you kind of a step-by-step process of putting your pages together rather than looking at the finished project and not knowing where to start. So these are really helpful. Same thing on the back. And so these are the 3 pages we are going to create today using our April kits. This is the cardstock pack, which is a great add-on to add to your order, because it helps you stretch your kits so far, because you get 16 sheets of paper, 2 sheets of each one of the colors, and then we have a B-side that's different each month, and it has a different pattern on it. And so you get this pattern in our April cardstock pack in each one of the colors. So this one's kind of cool because it has frames on it. And this is the yellow. It's a little harder to see, but anyway, without me going too far down a rabbit hole here, let's get started on our page. Now, quickly, I want to open this up and show you just quickly what's included in the embellishment pack. You get a pack of mini puffy stickers, and these have shapes. They're great for like finishing details and things of that nature. We've got a pack of cardstock stickers, and you get 2 sheets here. You get a pack of, these are cardstock layered foam mini alphas. You get upper and lower case, and they have like a little stitching detail, and you get 2 different colors. So you get orange, and then you get kind of a citron green. And I know that we're getting some glare on these, but once I start working, everything will be out of the cellophane and it'll be a lot easier to see. You also get a package of chipboard die cuts, and these are all, a lot of them are circular, and then there's hearts and some little triangles that can be used as arrows. They can be used as triangles. They can be used as pennants for like a pennant banner. And then there's hearts and some titles and phrases as well. Now, these actually coordinate perfectly size-wise with our April embroidery hoop die. So if we have a chance at the end, I'll show you, but the larger circles will fit inside the embroidery hoop. So that's kind of a cool thing too. So if we have time at the end, I'll show you how this works. Otherwise, we'll do something quick later on in a different video, and I'll have one of our design team members feature this. Okay. Then we have a package of these, they're, I don't even know what to call them. They're like kind of a naive floral. So they're little circles and they're kind of wonky, and you layer them together. They look like something that you would see on a quilt. And this kit is kind of, has a quilt or hand spun kind of a feel to it. So you get a bunch of different layers, and here are some examples on how they can be layered together to make flowers, but you can mix and match them however you like. You can also use them as, if you trace them or trace a couple of them, you can, onto white cardstock, you can create templates. And so then you can trace the circles and make a lot more of these if you so desire, or just use a circle punch if you want to be quick with that. And they won't have the wonky feel to it, but you'll get a similar style. So I'm using some of these. We've got die cuts. These are cardstock die cuts, and you get lots of super cute little bits and pieces, like the dogs are quilted and have patterns to them, as are the cats. There's little dresses. And the little teacup has like a quilted pattern on each one of the cups. And then we have some white felt cloud die cuts. So these are really pretty too. And they add a nice texture. So these are the things that we'll use today. I've kind of pulled aside everything that we need, or that I'll need to create our project. And when I do that, I put them in these little stackable trays. So they're the perfect size. And so I put everything inside there. The puffy stickers, I just cut a little bit off of the clear sheet and stick them. For some of the cardstock stickers, I use my powdered anti-static tool, and this is for stamping and embossing powder. So you use it on your cardstock before you stamp using embossing ink, and it keeps the embossing powder from sticking to anything other than your stamped image. But it also works to remove the adhesive. Well, it doesn't remove it, but it makes the adhesive on the back of stickers not sticky, so that you can move them around. So any of our cardstock stickers, I just removed the adhesive off of them using this, and then I can throw them in here and use liquid glue or whatnot, liquid glue or tape runner to stick them down. So these are all of the embellishments for our that we'll need for our pages. And then this is our patterned paper, and I have pulled the papers that I need, but I'll show them to you really quick, and then we'll get a move on this. What did I do? My little trash can. There we go. Nothing. I'm good. Okay, so these are the pattern papers for our April kits, and the ones that we're using are the clouds and this, not this, but I will show you really quick that we have, maybe I didn't bring it up here. Oh. Maybe I didn't bring it up here. We have a die a metal die that coordinates with this. So it will cut the flower out and it will also cut the circle out. And so you can cut them out. You can cut the flower, it'll cut the flower out, and then there's a circular piece that you can cut a circle out of any of the pattern papers or cardstock that you want, and put a little foam dot, and then it will give your flower some dimension. You can use something to curve your flowers, like a pencil or a paintbrush, to give them a little bit of dimension. But that's super cool, and it makes it easy, and then you don't have to fussy cut these if you don't want, but you can. They're an easy enough shape to fussy cut if you want. This is our paper that we fussy cut flowers from. This one we are using as a background, and we fussy cut some scallops from this one. And let's see, we're using this side as a background, and we fussy cut some of these little frames out of this one, and I think, and then we cut a couple of strips off of this one. So we used a lot of the papers, and so these are the ones that will remain untouched. Okay, so I've already done all of my fussy cutting and removed all of my branding strips and all of that good stuff. So let's set all of those aside and let's get a move on it. So I guess we'll start with the first one with the clouds. Now it has a white background. And so got some white cardstock set aside here. It's just a sheet of white smooth cardstock. And we'll add it has 3 strips of fussy cut clouds. And so if I grab the cloud paper, I'll show you. So the cloud paper looks like this. I flipped it and I fussy cut the first 3 rows of clouds. So then you still have 3 rows of clouds to use on a different project. So there is that. And so here I've got my clouds that have been fussy cut. And one thing I like to use a lot on my pages to make sure that everything's straight is my T-square ruler. It just allows me to make sure I get the things straight that I want straight. And I have already added foam to the backs of my clouds because I wanted to give them a little bit of dimension. This is entirely optional. You don't need to do it. You can give some definition between each layer by, you could like embroider around the edges. You can do some of them with foam. You can do like, for instance, you could have this stick flat at the top and then add foam at the base of where the scallop is on your cloud. So this edge where it overlaps will be flat, and then the actually that's probably what I should have done, but I didn't. So I'm going to kind of fudge this a little bit. And then, so if you have the foam on the scalloped edge, and then that top edge, if you have that flat, the flat or the top edge will stick flat to your background, and then you'll have that shadow of your scallop behind. And had I have thought about that ahead of time, if I do that now, I'm going to destroy these. So I may add a little bit extra dimension to these. So let's start by adhering these. And I just use, for my foam adhesive, I just use Fun Foam. You get it at, you can get all packs of all white on Amazon, but you can get like colored that has adhesive on one side at Michael's. It's cheap, and you can cut it into whatever size you want. And then I just use liquid glue on the background, or on the foam when I adhere it to my background. Okay, so we're going to just line this up at the top edge of the page. Okay, so we should be good. And so I'm going to only put glue on the top edge because I think I'm going to go and stick a few foam squares underneath some of these scallops, because I put foam all the way around. So we'll do it this way, and I'll show you what I'm talking about. But if you haven't done this yet, if you haven't added foam, just add foam to the lower part of your cloud. And then the top part will stick flat. And, oh, wait a second. Wasn't paying any attention. To the order that these go. All right, so I'm just going to slide this so that there's a slight overlap. Here. You could even use scissors to distress the edges if you wanted to add some differentiation between each one of the layers, but I'm gonna do it this way. So we'll just slide these underneath. And then that way, if you slide them a little bit, then you've got honestly, okay, I think this one seems weird to me. It's not quite. I think. All right. Okay. Okay, so then I'm going to take, these should be nice and stuck down on that top edge. And then I'm just gonna grab some of these foam sheets and I'll just take some little strips and I want to add them. I'm just going to glue the top part down. I need it to sit on the little foam edge. Because I want this to have a little more dimension. And in fact, because of the way I did these, I'm going to do it with a little, with a thinner strip, I think. Because then I'm all thumbs. So you see how that'll give a little more dimension to the clouds. Who uses tweezers? I know that a lot of people swear by them. I cannot get them to work right for me. I feel like every time I use a pair of tweezers, I'm dropping the embellishment or I can't pick it up. I have not been able to master the art of tweezers. Now, you know what I should have done here? I should have just added the foam. I should have added the foam before I put these down. But you know what? You just go with it. This is a pain, and it is going to take more time than I want it to, but you know what? It's all right. It works a little bit better if I do it this way. All right. So for those of you who did not do the foam, this is where you want the foam, is just on this lower edge of your cloud, because you want this shadow that the foam creates between the layers of clouds, because that makes it show up a little bit better. All right. Let's see. Okay. And the bottom one, you don't need to add extra, just the top two layers of your clouds, because you don't have anything underneath here. And this, for whatever reason, did not stick. So I'm gonna, it's probably because there's just these little triangles. All right. Let's lay this one down. All right, I'm just gonna tuck this under. Okay. Now I have glue places that I don't want it, but you know what? That's fine. I'm just gonna leave it as it is, and then I will touch this up as needed. But, so do you guys have those, do the kids in your neighborhood have those motorized, well, they're electric, they look like electric dirt bikes. We've got kids that zoom around our neighborhood riding those things, and I'm like, you're gonna hurt yourself. Of course, I was a nervous Nelly when it came to my kids. Probably damaged them for life. Okay, so this part is done. Now I am going to add glue to these lower pieces to give that dimension. So these lower ones, because I already had the foam adhesive, now have 2 layers of foam. And this one wasn't dry enough. Okay. Like I said, nothing has to be perfect. We make this stuff with our hands, and it's meant to look like we made it. All right. This one. This one. Okay. Probably easier just to put the glue on the paper. Okay. So there we go. That's just good enough. Okay. So then, that wasn't meant to take as long as it did, but the next thing we need are 2 2x3 photos, and I'm going to use a piece of white cardstock as a placeholder for this. If you wanted to use a 4x6, you could change the 2 photos for a single photo if you wanted to. So you can adjust this stuff any way you want. Doesn't have to be the way that it's designed. So you could use change so for instance, you could change this to a 4x6 photo. And have it go this way as opposed to being kind of staggered down the page. Okay, so 2x3 photos. We've got our, so we're going to grab our larger pieces. We've got our tag. We have our title. We have, and this is one of the chipboard pieces. The second part of our title is one of the chipboard pieces. We need our little frames. And what I did is I cut the frames out, removed the center, and I put white cardstock and a piece of foam behind them. But you could leave the inside and add photos to these if you wanted to. So we have 3 white ones and 2 pink ones. And one of the things that I'll show you really quick, because I think that I have, okay. I'm going to show you how I removed how I removed the insides, because a lot of people hate using craft knives. So here, let me just quickly cut this. So you can use your scissors. All you have to do is poke a hole through the center and cut an X through from corner to corner. And then it makes it so you can use your scissors and cut along this inside edge and remove the center of your little frames. So it doesn't have to be super difficult. And if you wanted to not cut the scallop edge, just cut it straight. You know, leave the edge of your frames straight. It is entirely up to you as to how you do it. You don't have to fussy cut. And then there you go. You've got the inside of your frame cut out without having to mess with a craft knife. So there is that. All right. So we've got all of these things. Now these are our larger embellishments. So what we want to do is we kind of want to take a look at how. Now, if you look at your project sheet, the favorite is in the center of your page, and it's barely overlapping some of the clouds. So you're going to need to add a little bit of foam behind this part because it needs to be able to rest evenly on your background. So I'm going to take a little piece of foam and I'm going to add it to this side. I think that will work perfectly. Okay, so I'm going to kind of, where is my, okay. So I'm going to use just a tiny bit of glue on this in case I need to move it. But I kind of want it to sit in place where I want it, or where I think it's gonna go. If I have to remove it, it's not gonna, if it rips anything, it's not gonna rip much. Okay, so then I also I'm big into dimension on my pages, and so I'm going to put foam behind my photos as well. Okay. All right, so here's this, add a little bit of foam or add some adhesive. What kind of liquid glue do you guys use? I am really liking this precision craft glue from Barely Art. I like it because it comes out of the bottle without too much effort. I used to use Scotch tacky glue in a fine liner bottle, but I found that when the glue got a little bit older, it was harder to get out, and I felt like my nozzle would constantly get clogged. And when you order this, you get several different tips. So you can replace your tips every time you get new bottles, or you can just order refills. But you can get tips that work for the way that you want them to work. Okay, so a couple of things. We've got this guy, and I don't want him to sink down behind or below the title here. So I am going to add some foam behind him. I need to trim this down just a tad, and you don't have to add foam. It's just it's a me thing. I like dimension. I like the shadow that it gives behind your embellishments. And by having things that have a little dimension, some things having dimension and some things being flat, it makes your layouts look really interesting. So, okay, so few things. A lot of things can be crooked on my pages, and I don't mind. There are some things that I like straight. Phrases are one, photos are the other. And like paper strips. So I want this guy, I'm gonna be able to adjust so he's straight, but he's not straight at the moment, but this guy is. Okay. So now I'm gonna start at the top here, and I want him to be straight also. And he needs some adhesive on this lower corner. There we go. See, now it sits as it should. Okay. Okay. So there we go. Now I'm just going to lift this up, add some adhesive under here. Add a little more under here. My little guy, I'm gonna have to use some scissors there later, but. And you just have to hold it for a couple seconds. But it does stick pretty quickly. Because this has, I've got glue on my fingers. I used to use tape runners all the time, but I've since changed the way that I do things, and I use foam adhesive a lot now. Guess there wasn't enough on this. Okay, I just want this to dry a little bit so it stays in place. Do I have something that's kind of heavy? Okay. Stamp blocks. They're good for more than just stamping. Okay. So then we want our photos. So the one photo is going to stick up here. The second photo is going to cascade down here. So they both nest between your title and your little phrase here. You kind of, I always think of it as like a jigsaw or Tetris or something, where I don't like to have trapped space in between my embellishments, because your eye gets lost in where to follow and take in all of the stuff on your pages. So you don't want to leave your pages with a bunch of trap space, is what I call it anyway. So we will put these down. So I'm going to add a little bit of glue on the center. And at the end, when I'm sure that everything is exactly where it should be, then I will go back through and add more adhesive to make sure that everything is glued perfectly. Now where is my, here's my ruler. And I just want to make sure that my photo is straight. So make sure it's straight this way. There you go. And then this way also. So and I just want to make sure, there we go. So that's straight. And then I'm going to tuck these up, this up underneath. See, that moved. All right. So this kind of just pulls your eye down. Okay, I'm going to add a little bit of glue here. So this guy, so I am a major audiobook fan, and I listen to audiobooks all the time while I work. And I eat them up like there's, like they're going out of style. And I finished a handful this last month, and most of which have been really good, which is always so fun. So there have been a few that, let's see, I've listened to, there's an author that writes memoirs of his life. I guess he has been like a prolific journaler his whole life. And he had a very dysfunctional childhood. And he finished his traditional schooling in 5th grade. And so he, everything that he learned outside of school. And he became he went into, like, he was super creative, went into advertising when he was in his early 20s, and was very successful with that, but he always wanted to be an author. And so he decided, his first book is called Running with Scissors, and it's all about his childhood and the weird, whacked out things that happened to him while his parents were being terrible parents, so to speak. I mean, anyway, so I read that book and it was great. And then there was another one that followed afterward that was called, what was it called? It was called Dry. And it was a story of his life. Um, he while he was working, he was a major alcoholic in his early 20s. And so um, the second book was about his recovery and when he sobered up. And so it was all about that and his life during his early 20s. And then there was another book called Magical Thinking. And that book was, I think, one of my favorites. They're all the things that happened to him in his life are horrible, but his perspective and the way that he tells his stories is so entertaining and good. And I think that he has my brain in his head. Like, he sees things so much like I do. And so I just finished this last night, a third book, or no, this was the fourth one. It's called Toil and Trouble, I think. And it was very good as well. At first, I didn't think I was going to like it because it missed a different, so not all of his books are audiobooks. And so there was another book in between, and they kind of follow his cycle of life. And so there was a character in Magical Thinking that he all of a sudden wasn't in his life anymore. And I was like, okay, what happened? I missed a book. So I was afraid that I wasn't going to like this final book that I just finished reading, but I really enjoyed it. So there were those that were great and highly entertaining, and they're a little some of the stories, depending on what you like, you may or may not. He's a gay guy, and he's just funny, and he talks about his life in a very humorous way. And I think that if you have the opportunity to read them, and not too much cursing, there's a little sex stuff in them, but not vulgar. It's just funny. So give them a try if you are so inclined. Then the other few that I've read, there's an author by the name of Michael Robotham, and I could be saying his name wrong, but he does murder mysteries. And the awesome thing about his books is that they're so good. Like, the thing that I hate worse than anything is to be listening to a murder, like a thriller or a mystery, and have either the plot be completely stupid so that it's who did it within the first 15 minutes, or it has unneeded romantic interest, and or it gives up at the end. And his books do none of the above. Okay, so we've got all of the major pieces of this page put together. Now we're going to add some of our larger embellishments, which are the tags, the clouds. So these I love, love, love. I think you can see them here, but they're all different shapes, and I'm using the kind of the larger ones, but there's a bunch of smaller ones as well. So we've got clouds, and then we have a few of there's a puffy sticker and a chipboard. Chipboard heart. And then these little guys, these little flag. And these are cardstock stickers that I removed the adhesive from. Okay. So we are going to add these things to our page. So the one thing that we do know is that this heart is going in the center here, and that, let's set these aside so that I don't get too much going on here. This green one is going here. I'm going to put that flat to my page. And this date will go there. And then this guy, he is going to need to have a little bit of foam adhesive on him, but not on the top. So put this on top, and I'll add the foam later. But he is going to run right along the title, and he's going to tuck right inside here with the second part of the title. So he's going to fill in this little notch there. And then we're going to add our puffy heart here. We'll add these guys here, and I need to figure out how long I want that one, because he's going in a group of other things. So I'm going to cut him down just slightly. I may need to cut it a little bit more than that, but we'll see, because he needs to fit in this little area here. And I think I'm going to put these, the blue and the gray one flat, and then I think I'm going to add a little foam to the green one, so it just gives some differentiation between the different layers. So I'm going to put him here. I'm going to put him about here. So I want to, now for those of you that use tweezers, this would be the ideal tweezer situation. And then there's me, who doesn't use tweezers. Okay, I'm gonna lift this one just a little further up this way, and these I'm just gonna eyeball. And then this guy, I'm going to add a little bit of foam behind him. Put this little bit of foam here. Might add a little bit more because he's going to come down here. Okay, so now just add a little bit of adhesive. Foam guys wanting to be seen. Okay. All right. So there's that. And then there is a little word strip. And I think, what do you think? Do you think foam or no foam? I think he needs foam. So anyway, Michael Robotham. See, I'll lose my train of thought. Very, very good. Every book that I've read of his has been excellent, and he's got tons of different mysteries that he's written. And he has different like ongoing characters. Like that appear in multiple books. So there's kind of some ongoing stories within them, which is interesting. Okay, so there are those. Let's add our clouds. This guy, he's good. This one, we need to add, and he is going to sit I want him to be a little bit higher here. All right. Now I just need to make sure that he's straight. Okay. And then we'll add our little date sticker. And he is going to go right here and fill in this little niche. So it's just like Tetris, right? Or a puzzle. You fill in all the holes. Okay, This guy is moving. Don't want him to move. All right. Set those there so that they glue down. Now we need to add our little clouds. And the first one is going to go here. Whoops, of course. So first one we'll put here. And then we've got a, let's see, which ones do we have over here? Sky. Over here. Make sure that I don't have cat hair attached to these felt, because cat hair is a real thing in my life. How could it not be with 5 cats? In fact, my kids are cringing that I said that. Okay, so there's that one. Then we need a little, let's do him. Except I think I want that one to be smaller. So there are my clouds. So they come in all different sizes, and I want to use a smaller one here. Let's see. Because this is just a little too big. There's another one. And then here is this guy. He is going to go like this. He'll sit right here. And then we have one more that we'll put up towards the top here. And they add such awesome texture to your pages. Okay, so this guy, will have him sit here. All right, so there's all of our clouds. Now we'll add all of our little things. Now, some of the little flowers were cut off of the watering can that is going in. Let's see. I thought it was going in the layout with the shelves. I'll show it to you, but if you didn't want to fussy cut those, you could easily do something else. So now we need to add all of the tiny little bits and pieces. And these are all of the finished, or the finishing bits and pieces that kind of make your layout extra special, because you could easily call it good here, and you could add some thumbnail photos in these, or you could add some journaling or some little words with the mini alphas if you wanted to. but I'm gonna make some little vignettes in them. And let's put this here, add this. And he's going to go there, but I'm going to let that glue sit for a second. Okay. And then we've got a little pink heart that will go here. And then this guy, I'm also going to add some foam to. Nice thing about the fun foam too is that you can cut it to whatever size you want. Landed glue side down. It's okay. Okay, so that will go here. Go ahead and put some adhesive here and lay this so it sits here. Bring it this way a little bit. And then we'll add our little heart here. And this little guy goes here. All right. And then we've got some little dots. We've got a green one, a little orange one, and a lime green one. This guy, I think I need this. And then we've got a couple of other, got a blue heart that will go under our cloud. And this little guy, he needs a tiny bit of foam under him because there you go. All right. So these are all of the things. And then we have a little orange heart that goes here. And a green heart that goes here. And a little pink dot pink dot that goes there. Okay, so there's those. And then I believe that I had, okay, so let's add a little bit of foam behind him. And he'll go here. And then we've got a little blue dot, and I should have a tiny little orange heart. Here she is. And I'm gonna make this one flat. That one, oops. Okay, so there's that. And then we've got a little blue dot, whoops, that goes there. And our orange, our yellow butterfly is here. This little puffy strip that says special moments. That goes here. I'm going to see if I can lift this up without messing with it, so it's not. Okay. All right, so he needs to be just a little bit. Okay. Now we'll add some of our little flowers. Actually gonna cut, not, set him here. And then I have a little this little flower. Let's see. Put him here. For some reason, I don't think that I fussy cut that. I fussy cut the yellow flower, so I might just skip that one, but that's okay. There's plenty of little bits and pieces. Okay, there's that, and a little blue flower, and this was fussy cut from that paper as well. Okay, so there's that first one. Then we've got a little yellow flower. A red one. And should be blue ones in here. I think I do. And a little blue one goes here. And a little, these little flower, or these little leaves are, or were cut from the watering can. So we're using just the watering can on a different page, but these little leaf guys were, all right, dang it. Glued that down just a little too soon because I need to be able to tuck this leaf underneath him. And hopefully he doesn't rip too badly. All right, so there's that. And I don't do all of the leaves entirely. I kind of lift those up just slightly, and then it gives a little dimension. Okay, so then we just have one left, and we add well, I'm going to put another tulip up here because that's what I have cut. So tulip, a little yellow, green flower. We've got a green leaf. It's gonna go right here. This layout by far is the most finicky, so the rest of them are more straightforward. And so this guy goes here, and then up here, a little bit up there, and then I've got another little blue flower that goes here. And I think, with the exception of 3 little we're just going to put these here. Let's put, all right. And there we go. Now, you can put lines for journaling here, and then I have, in the project sheet, I show stitching lines, which I will add later, that will allow you to run stitching up here. And I'll probably hand stitch this. But the hand stitching, and you can use hand stitching if you wanted to for your guidelines for your journaling, or you can just write it here. But this is your finished page. And this one took a long time. All right, so there's that one. How many of you guys, how many of you guys worked on this page alongside me, or how many of you are just watching? I love the clouds. Hi, Desi. Hi, Jana. Kirsten, it's good to see you. Carrie, I'm glad you're here too. I know, I think that the stitching will be really cute. Okay, so there is the first one. I'm going to set this one aside. And let's move on to number 2. This one's a lot more straightforward. I think that you'll find that this one's going to come together in a snap. So we're using this as our background, and it has a tiny, tiny pink dot in little, in a diagonal grid. And the background is white. And then we've got, so the paper that we cut, if you didn't cut it yet, let me show you. Let me show you how I cut it so that you don't waste a bunch of it. Okay. So this one, what you're gonna do, cut your branding strip off. Then you'll cut down this this far left edge. You'll cut along that the right side of this wide strip here, and then you're going to remove. You'll cut this here and remove this small piece, which is this. So in essence, what I'm doing is I'm removing all of the bright pink. So I don't want this piece because I'm making a page that doesn't have much pink in it at all. And the pink that's on the background, it kind of reads as a solid anyway, and it doesn't look pink. And so then you've got your larger strip, and you'll just cut that right down the center. And so by doing that, you've created 2 strips that don't have any pink in them. And so if you are somebody that doesn't use pink often, just rethink your papers, and you can do a lot by using bits and pieces of them and kind of transforming them in a way that you wouldn't maybe normally use them. So, so what we're gonna do is we will glue the stripes here. Now, pay attention to which way you're gluing them, because I want this pop of blue in this upper left-hand corner, and I want a pop of blue in this lower right-hand corner. And so that gives weight at the top and weight at the, it gives weight in the upper left-hand side, and it also gives weight and contrast in the lower right-hand side. So it helps guide your eye across your page diagonally. So we're going to go ahead and glue these down. I'm going to glue mine just down the center. I might, after my page is done, I might add some stitching on the far right edge, and then kind of peel this back a little bit just to add some texture. Same thing with this side. We'll glue this down the center. And again, I might add stitching on this side and then kind of pop this up a little bit just to add a little bit of texture on my page. so that by doing that, it gives you your canvas for your page, right down the center here. And so the things that we need for our page are this is a die cut from the ephemera piece, and then these all came from the chipboard circles. And then we've got some circles, and these are from the little flowers, the flower die cut pack. So we've got some leaves, some flowers, and some centers. I've got the two little dogs. But let's actually start, before we start pulling everything out, let's start with the pieces that show in our first image here. So we need our gingham circle from the cardstock die cut. We need our this is a chipboard circle, and the one that we have up towards the top has the orange and the blue floral. And then we need our chipboard frame and our die cut journaling spot. And then this chipboard piece, I want it so the green and the blue triangles are showing underneath the photo. Now, photo, we need a 3x4 photo. So I'm going to quickly cut that from white cardstock, 3x4. And I'm going to add foam behind. Did I put my scissors? There they are. The other thing I'll tell you about fussy cutting, make sure you have a very sharp pair of fine liner scissors. It makes your fussy cutting so much easier. If your scissors are dull, you have to fight with them, and it makes it hard to get smooth lines. If your scissors are sharp, it just kind of glides as you move your paper around. So if you're having difficulties getting your fussy cut elements to look nice, it may just be that you have a pair of dull scissors. So actually, I think before I let this glue or adhere, I think I am going to just add a little strip in the center of my photo, because everything else has dimension to it already. Okay, so my photo is going to sit in the center of the layout, just about. And so that's kind of the anchor point of everything else. So I'm just going to add a tiny bit of adhesive, and I'm just going to eyeball it, but I will want to make sure that it's straight. So, and if I need to move it, I can. All right, so this guy is going to sit right about here. Drop him just a little bit. Okay, so then we are going to start, and I'm just going to put adhesive in the centers of these. And I'm going to sneeze here in a second. No. Okay. So I want to pop this in here. And if you pay attention, it's going to go in a little further than the center here. Okay. So I want to make sure that I feel like my photo may have adjusted itself just a bit. Okay. All right, so there's that. Okay, so this line and this line are in a where these two lines meet are in a right angle. So this should be completely straight, and then this line should be completely straight. The offset is just this offset of the circle. Okay, so there's that. And like I said, I just did the center of that, and then I'm going to add a little bit of adhesive here, and I'm going to do the same thing. Corners are so that this line should be completely straight and the perpendicular one should be straight. So I'm just going to kind of all right, so there's that. Then we need to pop this guy underneath. And like I said, this layout is going to come together so much faster than the other one. Okay. There we go. And then we'll add a little bit of, actually, I think with this one, I'll put some foam under that one. And he is going to sit approximately here. And so if you follow the project sheet, it makes the placement a lot easier because you can judge the relationship of each piece to what it's sitting next to. And so with the gingham pieces, since everything is vertical, I'm adjusting the gingham pieces so that the gingham is going on a diagonal. and that kind of breaks up some of that, some of those lines. I guess I can move this in here, and okay, so there's that. In fact, I feel like I've got this in kind of an odd spot, but all right. So diagonal, and then I want to leave space for journaling here. So I wanted to move this out just a touch. Okay. So then we've got this guy, right? And we're using it in 2 areas on our page. And so we want to cut it so we can tuck it in. We're gonna almost cut it in half. Just a little shy of half, but okay. So this guy is going to sit about right there. And I'm going to have him add a little bit of adhesive here. And so there we go. So he is going to sit right there. So it looks like we used the whole thing, but we only used half. And then this one we'll take and add adhesive, and we're going to put him so that he's about right here. So we've got lots of circles. And these circles are going to build the foundation of our page. And then this one, add a little bit of adhesive here. And we are going to tuck him. Make sure he's on a diagonal. And we'll put him so that he's about right here. Okay. All righty. So that now we move on to the next. And where's my, I have some foam. All right, so I'm going to add foam behind this guy. And he is going in the center of, actually, I'm going to do it kind of off center. Maybe, maybe not. And then we need 2 leaves. So I'm going to take one of the lighter leaves. And you know what? Where are my... I think I'm missing one of the beliefs. Is it? It's that one, or okay, I can see it. Let's figure this out. Okay, so then I need 2 leaves. I'm going to use this guy here, and we're just going to stick him there, and then we're going to use this guy and I think I'm going to put foam behind him because he needs a little dimension. Okay, and we'll pop him right there. Need to add a little adhesive there. And it's going to kind of pop this edge of the flower up too, which okie doke. So there's that. And then we'll put, I'm just going to place the things that we're going to glue down here. We're going to put him here. We've got a green. Okay, so we've got the green little heart, which is there. We've got a blue heart. We have a blue heart, which is here. Okay. And we have our greenhouse, which is going to go here. So we'll put the greenhouse first here. And I'm going to put our little blue, so we're going to add our puffy stickers, which he's going to go here. And so you see that he kind of fills this little empty space here. We've got this guy who sits out kind of in no man's land, but he adds, he kind of fills in this space and draws your eye out towards this edge of the page. And then we should have a green heart. Didn't. I might use this one, but I kind of wanted a green one, so I don't know. We'll have to look and see if I find something else somewhere, because we have told him for something else. We'll make that. We might put something else there. Okay, so what we'll do here is we're going to add a little bit of foam behind this cardstock sticker. And this just helps, it helps make some of like your flat embellishments a little more substantial. So we're gonna put him here. So, and let's take and add a little bit of foam behind this guy also, because he's so tiny. Don't know if it's gonna, I think my piece of foam might be too big, but maybe not. Okay, add him here. I'll bet that there is some kind of a, what do I have? Let's see if I have something that's most, this is, okay, we can do this. We'll put this guy up here because I can't find my green okay, did I put glue there? Okay, so let's put a little glue here, and I'm going to put him down here, and then he goes a little over here. And then I'm just going to put a little bit of glue in the center of this cardstock sticker flower, and I'm just going to pop these little petals up. So we'll put that guy there, and then we need our dogs, and they will need foam. So this guy, we'll add some foam behind him. And you don't have to do foam like I'm doing. If you like your pages a little more flat, that totally works. Okay, so he's gonna go here. And then we'll add our other little dog. I think these dogs are so darn cute. A little bit of adhesive here so that he can sit a little lower. And he is going to kind of overlap the photo just slightly. And so to kind of guess where the placement goes and how the dogs sit with one another, this little green dog covers up the tail on the other dog. So it'll kind of give you a point of reference as to placement. And then because we had foam on the dog, I'm going to put foam on this little date sticker because I want it to look like the dog is sitting on the little date sticker. Okay. So he's just gonna sit right here. All right, so there's that. Then we're going to add our little blue house, which is one of my favorite. So we'll add our blue house, which goes about right here. And he might need just a little bit of foam underneath him because of the chipboard. So I'm just gonna take a little teeny piece and pop it under that corner, which I think helps if it doesn't stick out. Okay. And then might need it on this side as well. Okay. So since there's foam there, I need it to stick down. There we go. All right. And then we have a little blue flower who sits. I'm gonna put the blue flower so that it just overlaps the dog just a little bit, and then this is going to rest on the date stamp. So we've got everything kind of gluing there, and then we've got our little green star that goes here. All right, next we'll add this guy. And like I said, I'm just putting a little bit of glue in the center here. We'll add our little leaves. I think I'm going to trim this off just slightly. So there we go with that guy. And then I'm going to trim him also and add just a little bit of foam behind the second leaf. And it just adds just a little bit of dimension and kind of allows some separation between the two leaves. So I'm going to this to go here. All right. And then these little petals, I just want to be sure that I can flip them up just a tad. And that just gives a little shadow underneath those. So we've got a little orange dot that'll go in the center of this flower, and a little lime green one that will go in the center of this one. And then we've got, where did my blue heart go? We've got a blue heart that goes right here. And then I should have a tiny little, actually, and then another little green heart, but I'm going to lay this one down flat. I think that this might not be the one that is shown here, but you know what? It works. Okay, and then we've got a little, we've got to add we've got a phrase that goes across here, and it says, "You had us in stitches." And you can choose to use whichever phrases you want on any of these so that they fit your page and photo. So add a little adhesive here and here. Add a little foam here. These are cardstock stickers, so and I just removed the adhesive so I could pull them off and set them aside so that I had everything together when I made my page, put the page together. So add a little bit of adhesive here. This one says amusing, and put it in. Covered up one of the little X's so that it filled the space better. Otherwise, I felt like it was going to go too far across the circle. And okay, so then there's this one, and this one says playful. All right. Okay, same thing. Lift this one just a little bit further up. And this one, See, this is where the tweezers, I'm sure, come in handy. But I just can't get them to work. Okay. Amusing and playful, and then we're going to put a little, I don't like the color of that one, to be honest. I want something orange. Let's see. I think I'm going to take this guy and put him there. Right. There we go. And I think he's done. So here is layout number 2. And I don't think we missed anything. Nope. Okay. So there's layout number 2. I'm going to set him aside. Now we move on to layout number 3. Gather all my goodies. Okay, so this, you know what? I found my button and I prefer it. Where is my foam? Put him there because I like the color better. There, have a little glue there, and put him here. And then this guy, that looks better. Felt like that flower just wasn't quite the right thing. Okay, so there we go. All right, so let's put him over there into, make sure that I'm not going to turn off one of the lights for a second, but I want to make sure that I'm got my phone plugged in. Without messing things up. I want to make sure that I have my phone plugged in so we don't lose. There we go. All right. Okay, so now we move on to layout number 3, and we are 2 hours in. So it takes about an hour for each one, it seems, right? Okay, so we need these 3. And these were fussy cut from one of the papers. And we need 3 2x3 photos, which I am going to cut from white cardstock as placeholders. Three. And 2. And 2. All right, so here we go. First things first. I am going to add foam behind each one of these because they are, in essence, going to be a shelf. So I want them to have just a little bit of heft to them, and adding the foam helps us do that. And they are going to be the anchor for all the different bits and pieces that we add to our page. So let's add these here. And the other nice thing about Fun Foam is that you don't have to peel the backing off all those little squares, which I think is a win. Okay, so then we are going to need to 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 and a half. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So you can count the scallops on the image here, and you'll know how wide or how long each one of your strips should be. So here's this one. And then this one's could have been a little more straight, right? All right. Now the placement of these little strips. So this one has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 1, 2, 4, 6, 8, 9. And I'm going to so 2, 4, 6, 8, 9. I'm going to do 10 because it's going to tuck behind the photo. So, all right, we need one more little row of foam. Now, in the an effort to be a little quicker, I am going to add less foam behind the embellishments. However, you can add foam behind whatever you wish. Okay, so the one thing that we know as we pull these apart, I do want foam behind each one of my photos. So I am going to do that. I think this piece. Okay. So this. So these are made to look just like a little shelf with a bunch of stuff on them. And I thought that this scallop paper worked perfectly for that. Okay. So the first one we know is going to have this pink die cut flower, which is kind of tall. So we want to make sure that we place it I'm going to grab little. Okay, so this is the flower that goes here. And so we want to make sure that our flower can stand up and have a little bit more space above it. So we know that that's going there. So that helps us figure out where we want it to go. And then our photo will go here. And then we've got another one, and the photo is going to go this direction. Okay. So with all the little things, we want to make sure that when we place them on, when we glue this part down, we want everything, all of our biggest, largest embellishments to fit right. And then this one, the photo will go like this. And then we have another taller floral embellishment that is going to be standing up, and he is going to sit about right there. However, we know that also we've got a strawberry that is going to sit here. Okay, so this guy is going to go about right here. And I'm going to glue him down. We'll kind of build from the bottom up. And I'll give you kind of the dimension of how far the bottom of so the bottom, from the bottom of your paper to the bottom of the scallop is 1.5 inches. And then I'm going to just make sure that it's straight using my T-square ruler. Okay, so there we go. And then this one, I know that I'm putting this little flower. Actually, let's find our little teacup. So he's going to be here. And then we've got a little tulip, pink tulip somewhere. Fussy cut a bunch of flowers here, so should have a tulip somewhere, unless maybe I need a tulip. Oh, no, never mind. I don't need a tulip. I need my cardstock stickers, because this guy is a pink tulip. So he'll go right about here. And I want this to sit about here. Okay, so give you dimensions for this one too. Okay, so I want him to be just a bit above where the mouse sits. So this is from the bottom of your page is about 4.5 inches, maybe just slightly under, like 4 and 7/8, I think. Now we want to make sure that this also is straight, so I'm going to use my T-square ruler here. We're all straight there. So this is going to sit here, and we want to make sure that this guy is going to have some space here, so he's going to go about right there. And just add some adhesive here. And there. And I just want to make sure that I have it straight. Then I'll give you a measurement from the top edge. So from the top edge of the paper to the top edge of the scallop is about 3 3/4. Okay, so there we go. So now we are going to assemble. So that's the hardest part, is just figuring out where your shelves are going to go. So if you pay attention, I will, I'll put the distances in the description box below so that you can refer to those. when you're putting your scallops on your pages, just to make it a little easier. Okie doke. So we need one of our photos here. One of our photos goes here. And then this one goes here. And the thing that you can do to tell where your photos are sitting, look at the scallops below. So 1, 2, 3, 4. So this one will sit right here. So I'm going to add a little bit of adhesive behind my photo because I know where he'll sit, right? And he just sits on top of the shelf there. Add a little bit here. And then this guy sits on the second scallop. Actually, it sits about right here. I think I need to cut away just a little bit of this so that he can fit there. There we go. All right. And then this guy, I'm just going to add a tiny bit towards the bottom here because I'm going to need to layer that larger die cut. So he is like 3, 2.5. So he's about, is that right? Yep. So he'll sit about right here. And then I need this guy. And I want to place him before this photo. Okay. Put a little bit of adhesive there. And I want to make sure that my journaling lines on this are straight, which they are. And then this little flower needs to pop in right here. Okay, so he is going to sit about right there. Okay, and then our little cat, because the cat is overlapping the photo, he needs foam. Actually, he doesn't need foam on his whole self. He just needs foam on one side. Okay. Okay. So I'm just going to put some adhesive on the foam and he'll sit So he's just slightly overlapping the photo. And then one other thing, I'm going to just cut this slightly just so that we can fit him in here. Okay. And he just will sit. You know what's funny? The last page that I did, I mixed up the backgrounds. This one in the image has the pink background, and this is the gray, and it was supposed to go with the other one, but that's okay. Okay, and then this guy, goes here. Okay, so those are the big pieces. Did I not add? Okay, so there we go. Now we move on to some of the other bits and pieces. There's my, I swear I pulled that little watering can aside and I can't seem to find it. Should be in here. Oh, here's the water can. So this is the watering can that I cut the flowers off of. So I cut the flowers off of it and the handle because most of those are going to be covered up. Okay, so now we're just going to start layering all the other bits and pieces. And we'll kind of set them where they go. And then we'll figure out if anything needs foam. The only pieces that I'm going to add foam to are things that are overlapping the photo or are sitting on top of something that has dimension already. So let me put those aside. We've got the bird. I love this bird. So cute. Okay, so there's the bird. We've got this guy who is going to be sitting here. We've got where are these guys? Okay, so we've got a pink flower and a citron green flower. And I believe I have a light blue one here as well. So this guy, I think it's going to be okay because he's going to sit on that chipboard frame there. We'll add a little more adhesive to him as well in a bit, but let's set him there. And then this guy is going to sit here. This one is going to be up here. And then this one will be here. Okay. And then we need a green leaf to kind of, I'm gonna trim this little edge off so that I can tuck him under here. And then I need a little blue puffy here, and then a reddish one that goes there. Okay. All right. And then let's see here. Oh, I guess I'm getting ahead of myself. Okay, so there's that. We need the TV goes here. I'm going to slightly overlap the photo. We have a pinkish. This one goes here. I have another. These, okay, that goes there. This one goes here. Okay, so this will need foam on this edge. Put a little foam there. So he needs to sit. So everything is sitting on these little shelves. The TV is going to need some foam. I'm going to give myself blisters from, dang it. Just don't want anything to stick where it shouldn't stick. Okay, so this guy is there. This guy is here. And the little mouse needs foam because he goes on top of the strawberry who has foam. Okay, so he and then this guy, we had a little didn't. Okay. So this guy, I'm just gonna trim and put him down. He doesn't need anything. It's gonna just sit behind here. I'll lift him up just a bit because I'm gonna layer some other stuff. Okay, so this little tulip is gonna go right here. And then I need a little leaf, I think. This one. The leaf. And I'm going to trim this guy off so that I can so there's that. And then I need should be this flower. One of them. Okay. This flower goes down here. And then I have a head. Oh, I have a little flower, but maybe not. Okay, so then this guy. Put a little tiny foam square in the center of this one. Because it is going to overlap the shelf just a tad. So put that there. And then can go okay. So there's that bottom piece. Bottom shelf. That looks pretty good. Though this guy, I think, needed to be raised just a tad. All right. Okay, there we go. Okay, so there we go with that. And I want to make sure that this guy and this guy are glued down. Okay, so then we need a little pink flower and a citron green flower. And the citron green one is going to sit here. And the pink one will sit here. Actually, I'm going to scoot this just a little further in. So there, and then the pink one dips down, and then we need a green. A green leaf. So just put this here. To lift this up and slip that right there. Okay, so there's that. Then we need a, little dots go, here they are. So we need a orange in here. And a blue one here. Okay. Again, tweezers. Okay, so there's that. We have that. We also need to add this little yellow butterfly. Goes right up in here. Okay, so now let's move on to the next one, and scissors are here. We need to add a little bit of foam behind our strawberry because it overlaps our photo, which has foam under it, so put him okay. So this guy goes about right here, and there's a little orange heart that sits on the edge. Right there. Then our little cat's situated just fine. And then we've got our little pot of strawberries, and they're gonna sit flat. We need to tuck them slightly behind our cat. So kind of jimmy them in there. There's a little piece of foam that's sticking out that I don't want. Okay, there we go. Here too. Okay. Okay, so he's fine. Then we need this little guy who is going to, okay, we don't need all these leaves. So I'm going to kind of tuck him behind right. And then we need a blue cardstock tulip. It's gonna sit about right here. And an orange flower that will sit right. Put some foam on this one. And sit. Here, I'm going to lift this up and move him just slightly, tuck him. Tuck him. And then we need a leaf. And actually, I wanted a more green one, but I wonder if I can swap this without ruining it. Fabulous. Okay. And I'm going to stick this guy here. Okay. And then we have dots for one of the flowers. Needs a blue dot. Okay. And then we need a little blue. Where's my blue strawberry? Use it more than once. And a little blue strawberry there. And then, okay, so there's that. Here we need to add, it's a good thing I didn't. Okay, so we need our little yellow and pink flower. It's going to sit right. Okay. These aren't glued down yet. So we need a little bit of foam on the strawberry. That's because it's overlapping the photo. So it just needs a little. Okay. So there's that, and then my little watering can goes right next to it. And then this guy needs a tiny bit of foam because he's sitting on the shelf. Doing 3 layouts in one sitting is crazy. And for those of you that have stuck with me, forever grateful. Okay. Okay, so this guy needs some of this moved. Okay, so there's that. Then we need a little blue tulip and a leaf. Sure enough, I'm using my green leaves where I should have used these lighter ones. Okay, this one. So this guy and this leaf goes here. And then there should be a little orange flower. Again, a little bit of foam if I can make it work. Okay. The foam, and we are just about finished. I think going forward we will do some more. These pages were probably a little more complicated than we'll do going forward. Okay, so there's that. We need foam behind our bird. Actually, this piece works perfectly because it will support his head. Actually, one more piece of foam to go under his head. Okay, so he will sit on top of the photo. And then we've got the title, which oh, H, oh honey, H, O, N, E, Y. Okay, so we will, where's my T-square ruler? It should be right around here somewhere. So this little bit, looks like we have a little this goes here. And then on top of that is where we're going to glue our title. And I'm just going to do it using my T-square roller so that it's straight. My goodness. Okay, so H. This is all the way glued. There's this I want there, but we'll see. We'll see whether that'll work or not. Okay, so H. O. N. E. Y, and then on right above, going to, did I move those? I think I did. Yikes. Well, I was hoping that they would be straight, but they're not. That's okay. Oh, honey, you're gorgeous. Okay. And then I think I have like a little, because I tore my paper right here. So I'll put that little guy there. And let's see if I'm missing anything else. So we've got our blue butterfly. Blue butterfly. We've got this little heart that we're putting here. And we have a yellow heart, but where does it go? Maybe that's what it was. This guy. I don't know if it's okay. All right, I think we have it all done. I think we'll add a few more little dots here and there. There. We'll put one here. Let's see. We'll put one here. Let's see. We'll put one there. And I think that that should be it. All right, people, we did it. 3 layouts. And we did them. So let me move all of this stuff out of the way. And I kept my space relatively clean. Okay, so we grab the other 2 that we did. Okay, so number 1, or actually here. Number 1, look at them in conjunction with our sheet here. So number 1 and number 2. Number 2, and then oh, whoops. Number 3. Okay, so I am going to quickly flip my camera. Let's see. That's the messy part. Well, my whole office is a little bit on the messy side. Okay. So for those of you that stayed with me all this time, I am forever grateful. You guys have a lot of tenacity of being able to stick with me. Like I said, this, for those of you that didn't create along with me and just listened or caught bits and pieces of it, the video will be available for replay. So, Jana, you're so sweet. The video will be available for replay, and you can watch it and kind of work at your own pace. And like I said, if something doesn't work for you in these designs, switch it up and use the designs as a jumping off point. We've got a lot of products left that are, you're going to make them. Good, good, good. I'm glad. There's a lot of products that we still have available that are left over, even though we did very, very embellishment heavy pages. We still have a ton of stuff left over. So if you guys would like to do another live before our June kits ship, we could do it on a Thursday evening perhaps, and maybe we could do cards. I'm so glad that, yeah, I think that everybody can switch them up however they want. And that's the beauty of it. You know, we give you, I give you a design that works as a jumping off point, and you can make the pages your own. So anyway, I hope you've enjoyed this change that we've made with our kits. I think that it's a lot of fun for me to be able to gather with you guys and create using our kits. If you'd like to see something a little bit different, aw, I'm glad that you're enjoying them. If you'd like to see something a little bit different in how we're doing them, leave a comment below and let me know, because we can do a lot of different things. If you would like me to maybe do one video a week, or if you'd like to do these layouts and you'd like me to maybe add a little mixed media to them and kind of zhuzh them up a little bit, let me know. Leave a comment below, and we can, you know, kind of do some other things too, because our color kits and our dies are super cool, and they're a great thing to be able to add to your kits. But you don't need to do that to create great pages. You know, you've got so much stuff to work with. And sometimes, like for me, when I design my pages and I create pages, I look at the products and I try to envision changing the papers to work with what I enjoy, or what, to work with them in a different way. So like for instance, the scallop eyelet paper, to use this whole thing as a sheet would be a lot, but to break it up and use bits and pieces of things, there's so many different ways to use all of the papers that are included in our April kits. You know, when I opened them, I was like, oh, well, I could do this, and I could do this, and I could do this. So I have lots more ideas in the way of the paper, in using the paper and combining them together. Like I said, if you're not a pink fan, you know, take a look at your paper, something like this, and figure out how to use it without the pink. You know, cut them in squares that don't incorporate pink, like these here. Use the triangles and all the, if you were to take this and cut them out into shapes that omit all of the pink, and then put it back together again in a different way. So create your own patchwork, create your own quilt. You can do that with practically any one of the papers. And in fact, most of the papers that have pink on them, on the reverse side, so this one has a little bit of pink, but on the reverse side, it's yellow. This one is blue on the front and blue on the back. This one has some pink in it, but it's blue on the back. It is floral, but it's such a tiny floral that it really could read as a solid. This one is pink on the front and blue on the back, or white with a blue stripe. This one is a multicolor stitch, and blue and green on the reverse side. So if you look at our papers, you're going to be able to find a side that works for you. So anyway, that's a great, you know, so really when you open your kit, give yourself time, go through the papers and look at them and figure out a way that will make them work for you, because you don't necessarily need to have a themed paper to make a themed layout. You know, have your title theme your layout or your photo. But you know, you can use any product to create any kind of page. In fact, I'll bet you I could make a Christmas layout out of this kit, and maybe I will. Or maybe I'll make a Christmas card, who knows? But just try to think of your products in a different way. Think out of the box, and think of ways that you can transform them into something else, or take bits and pieces out of it and combine it with bits and pieces of another paper. So you don't have to use an entire paper the way that it is. So cardstock is your friend too. White cardstock, colored cardstock. Our cardstock add-on kits are fabulous. So there's something to think about as well. So anyway, I've been going forever. You guys are probably exhausted. I need food. And so I'm going to sign off for now. If you have any questions, leave them in the comments below and I will be sure to answer. I will add some of the specifics as far as dimension on these shelves to the description box so you can refer to that. But other than that, everything else is pretty self-explanatory. So anyway, I hope you guys enjoyed it. I enjoyed meeting with you and getting together. And I think it's a great opportunity for everybody to set aside some time for themselves and do something that you enjoy doing. So I will catch you guys in a few weeks and we will do this again. So talk to you later. Bye. Oops.